Prossima paragem, Radio Pistacchio.
Okay, allora, dear green pistachios, it's Wednesday, 8 p.m. in Lisbon. This is Radio Pistacchio with the first broadcast of the year, 2026. And Gifford Miller, thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Installations. And from New York City, you are the first victim of our interrogations.
Okay.
Okay. So I understood you born in New York City.
I was born in New York City, yes.
Okay. Now you are in Lisbon.
I go back and forth. I still live in New York City.
Okay.
But I also, my wife and I have an apartment here in Lisbon.
Okay.
And I love it here. She loves it here, but she's a litigator in a big law firm in New York, so she's mostly there. She comes when she can.
Okay.
And I'm here a little less than half of my time.
Okay. Because I understood you moving to living here from a lot of years in Portugal, like other Americans.
I moved. So my wife and I, we bought an apartment here in 4.5 years ago.
Okay.
Our kids had just finally gone successfully to college. It was still in the pandemic, and we came here on vacation, and we were here for like less than 24 hours, and something felt, very right. My wife grew up in the San Francisco area. I think there's a lot of commonality between Lisbon and San Francisco. I like to say that Lisbon is the San Francisco you wish San Francisco was. It's because it's a little bit nicer for me. And we just fell in love, and we're like, listen, now that we're empty nesters, our kids are left the house, we could travel lots of places, or we could go to one place and try to build community and learn it and feel it. And so that's what we did. We bought an apartment here, and I've been coming back and forth for 4.5 years, and a lot more recently, obviously, since we bought the football team.
Great, because the first question was that maybe with the new mayor you have in New York City, may you return to live in New York City sooner than expected?
No. Well, I mean, no. We still live there. But we go back and forth. I love New York. I love it through all different mayors. I'm sure this mayor will be a good mayor. We've had a lot of different mayors. He's an exciting young person who's bringing people a lot of hope for the future, and so hopefully it'll be a good thing for New York. But New York for me endures. It has its greatness, and it's very hard for politicians to mess it up.
Even from them.
Even for me, I didn't.
Some friend of mine said that the light of New York is the same of Lisbon.
No.
I don't know why.
San Francisco.
Nonsense.
San Francisco, right?
It's not true. Maybe a little bit of San Francisco, but no, I think the light in Lisbon is very unique. For me, it's there's something. It's funny. I don't like sunglasses, but here I have to wear them. I think perhaps it's the water and the combination of all the white buildings, and or it's just the fact that it's so sunny here. But there's a different quality to the light here, which I think is one of the things that makes it such an amazing city to live in.
Okay, great.
New York's light, it's different kind of. It's more like no, it's normal, but I think there's lots of neon, and it's at night. When New York comes alive.
Okay. And how and when begin your passion for soccer?
I grew up in England when I was boy with my parents, who my father worked for American Express, and so we moved to London for a few years, and I fell in love with football there. And it was hard to remain a football fan when I was growing up in New York City in the late 70s and the early 80s. There just wasn't much football, but I always felt a connection to it. And right around when I was in a government in New York City until 2006, and it was an amazing experience, but extraordinarily overwhelming in terms of the amount of time that I was working 110 hour weeks regularly. Wow. Not seeing my kids, not seeing my wife. And so when I finally left, it was early 2006. That was exactly the year of the World Cup in Germany, which I went to, and also the year that the EPL came to American TV. So it was very easy to get back involved. And also my kids were just of the age where they could fall in love with sports. So both of my boys from a very, very early age have loved football, and it's very much a family passion.
Okay. 2006 is a very great year for us.
Why
Yes.
Liverpool? Because you actually wrote that is the team you fell in love with.
Yes, I'm a massive Liverpool fan. Well, in the 1970s, Liverpool was sort of the Man City of England. It was the biggest and the best team, and I was 6, so as a 6-year-old, it was my responsibility to support the biggest and the best team. And then when I always sort of stayed in touch of what was happening, and particularly when in 2006 when I decided to go back to being a big football fan, Liverpool was like good but not great, so it felt authentic, as opposed to switching to Man United or something.
So not American football. You never follow.
I have kind of one sport in me, so at a time. So when I was a young boy, I was a fan of American football. Once I got back to the U.S., then I was a baseball fan for many, many years. I still have a season ticket to the New York Yankees. I actually worked with George Steinbrenner and the Yankees for a while, but increasingly after 2006, football became the biggest one for myself and for my family. So that's 20 years. Yeah.
Were you the only one appreciating soccer? Because the United States is
no, I think but it was definitely. I mean, it's definitely the popularity in the U.S. has grown dramatically in the last 20 years. There's the whole Ted Lasso thing. And people know the TV show, the Ted Lasso, right? It comes from in 2006. It was a silly commercial to promote to the United States soccer or football and the rules and things like that. And that sort of shows you, most people in 2006 in the United States didn't know much about football, but I mean, it's changed dramatically. It's a huge, huge sport. And people maybe don't realize this, but soccer is the most played sport in the United States.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Wow.
Among young people, everybody plays soccer. It's not even close. It's by far the largest played sport.
Okay. But as professionals or
No. I mean, like growing up, if you're a young person in the United States, the sport you are most likely to play is soccer.
Okay.
There's a whole discussion to be had about the U.S. soccer's quality, its academies, how it's developing players. I'm just saying, like, if you're in 5th grade in some place in the United States, you are likely playing soccer, more likely than you are playing basketball or American football for sure, which is really not played nearly as much in most parts of the United States anymore. And all the other sports, baseball, soccer is much more popular, particularly also for boys and girls.
Now it's more recent this, because maybe this changed, because we seen a lot of films with American football, basket.
Well, I think actually it hasn't changed as much as you think. We just played it very badly, and I think the thing that really changed it actually was Xbox.
Oh, okay.
Because when FIFA came out on Xbox, kids got it, and if you are proficient at FIFA Xbox, you learn a lot about the rules, about the formations, about how to how to shield the ball out, you know. And I remember I coached my sons till they were about U12, and they started to argue, and then we were like, okay, well, you should find another coach. But I could tell immediately when I had a new player come whether that young person had been playing Xbox or not. Because if they played Xbox, they were at least proficient with the sort of basics of football. And so I think that is actually even more than, and it became a virtuous circle, but I think that was the thing that really drove young people's competence in football more than anything else in the United States.
But there isn't so much spectacle on soccer respecting football. For example, all the animation, the cheerleadings and stuff like this, the music, with baskets, but not with soccer, right?
I mean, I think the problem for America in soccer is that you know it's the MLS has actually great attendance, but not good TV ratings, because you know you could watch the Houston Dynamo or you could watch, you know, Liverpool Man City. I mean, it takes a very particular, really passionate Houston Dynamo fan to want to watch that over, you know, better players playing at a higher level. So I think it's a slow process for dealing with the TV ratings in the United States, which of course dominates the money and everything else. But actually, the attendance levels at the MLS are very high, and you know, but also you know, I think professional football requires young people who need the opportunity that professional sports offers, and the typical one of the things I was mentioning about the problem with American development in football is that it's not a sport that's played typically in poorer areas. It's like when my sons were in academy, they both played at a relatively high level. My younger son played in college, which was sort of the dream for most kids, and that's kind of the problem. You know, the goal is to have your soccer career help you get into a good college, not to become a professional player. Whereas, you know, basketball is extremely popular in areas of low income, and you don't need a big green field. You know, you can play just in a ball on the side of a wall. And so that's where, you know, and to compete against it, for example, the Portuguese players here, you know, who've basically devoted their entire lives to this since they were, you know, 8, you know, is very hard for a lot of Americans. They just don't get as much, you know, experience, and we lose a lot of the talented ones to college or to, you know, to go off and because they can become lawyers or whatever it is.
But here in Europe, we have an opposite vision. I mean, basket and American football are not so popular like the soccer, but the operators of soccer, they are looking for the NBA and the American football like a model to import in Europe. And
I think that would be. I think it would be a terrible shame. I mean, I think I mean, I say that as, you know, as an owner of a football team, it's, you know, relegation is a terrifying prospect, but it's what makes all these games interesting. You know, in American baseball, for example, you know, 5 games in and the Kansas City Royals are out of it. You know, they're not relevant. They're never going to win. You know, and so you have to be a pretty big Royals fan to want to go to Royals games. Whereas in this country, you know, in some ways the matches between the person in 19th and 17th at the end of the season is like the most exciting and dramatic game of them all. So I think relegation and promotion and the whole overall system, which I understand why owners resist it, because it's business and it preserves the value of what you put your money into, but it would, for me, ruin the spectacle.
Okay.
Actually, it was very interesting in knowing about your politics background. For example, how did you start? What was your first approach? Why you were drawn to politics? in the first place?
My family was very interested in public service. My father served in the Kennedy and Johnson administrations. My older brother was in the Kennedy kindergarten with Caroline Kennedy in the White House, because they had to create a kindergarten for her. My father worked in the State Department. He actually was the legislative liaison that created USAID. So he died a year and a half ago, sadly, but he's 96, so it wasn't that sad. But in some ways, it's a good thing, because I think having to watch the Trump administration destroy USAID would have been very hard for him. But so in my family, public service was sort of thing we talked about at the table at dinner, and it just sort of felt normal to me. It was what I was interested in. So when I left college, I went and I answered phones for my local congresswoman, who my parents knew a bit, and she was very good to me. So within 3 years, I was her chief of staff, and then I decided that I was more interested in local politics than national politics, because I think you can experience the results of your work much more tangibly.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, if you put money in the budget for trees, then trees get planted and you see the trees. Or, for example, my big project when I was in government was the High Line. I don't know if you know the High Line, but it's an elevated park in New York City. It's been a huge success. So I get to go walk on the High Line and say, I did this. So I was interested in politics, and I think one of the things for me about most everything I've done is that, if I think it's a good idea, I just decide to just go try to do it.
Okay.
So I just ran for office when other people were thinking, well, should I run? Should I not? I just ran.
How was
Just
the
do
it,
very
like
big
Nike.
campaign and everything? Because I think we don't have an idea about really how difficult it is to prepare a campaign, how long it takes, and all the scene behind, that
Yeah.
no one gets to see as
Well, I ran a lot of different. The first one was hard because it was unbelievably cold. And it was actually a special election. The person who preceded me left office. But there were a lot of rumors that he was going to leave. So like 3 months before he announced it, I just started running because I thought he would leave. And everybody else was like, well, I'll wait to see what happens. So I was running, and I'd gotten a bunch of endorsements. And my boss, my congresswoman, had endorsed me and supported me. So it was a 45-day election in December of 95 and January of 96. And the temperature got over freezing twice. So it's very cold. It was a lot of standing on street corners, shaking hands. The first day I went out without gloves, then I was like parka and mittens. But it's challenging because, like everything else, to do something new and different, there's a fear of failure. And you have to, push through that. But it's a lot of calling people and asking people for money and for support. It's unpleasant in many ways, but it's also, it has a little bit of sport feeling to it. It's you get a team together and you're all working towards the same thing, and then when you win, it's great. When you lose, it's not nearly as much fun.
Actually, I'm curious to know this whole experience. What did it teach you about compromising? Because I think you really have to compromise a lot.
Well, yeah. I mean, so ultimately, I ran for the city council. Ultimately, 6 years later, I became the speaker of the city council.
Yeah.
I was 32 years old. And it was a very diverse body. It's New York, so it was a big challenge to find common ground. And also, we had the mayor was Mike Bloomberg, so he had lots of money and lots of power. And I think it's as with so many things, when you're trying to do something complicated and bring people together, you have to explain to people why what you want them to do is in their interest. That's how you get them to compromise. You explain to them how it's going to help them.
Would you say that was the biggest challenge for you in your position?
Oh, I don't know. There were a lot of challenges. But I think that to be I was an unusual choice. People didn't think that I would win because I was 32 and because I was a white man from Manhattan, and typically in New York, at that time, the mayors were from Manhattan and the speakers were not from Manhattan. And so because Mike Bloomberg was a Republican, it was sort of a lot of things broke my way. I had to be lucky, but I worked very hard to make my luck. So, I mean, I think the biggest challenge in politics is to try to not dwell on all the people that are trying to stop you from doing something. And there's a lot of it attracts a lot of people that love confrontation. You know, I mean, that's sort of the thing. It's like, if you don't like confrontation, you shouldn't go into politics because, you know, people scream at you. And I think trying to, you know, sort through that and the negativity and to lay out a clear vision and then explain to people why coming along with you is a good idea is important in politics. But it's, I think, the same kind of skills that what I used when I was a developer of affordable housing, and the same sort of skills I use now as a president of a football club that's trying to, you know, change our direction in many, many different ways.
That's actually, it's very interesting. How did you move from politics to affordable housing?
Well, the thing that, as I said, interested me about being in local politics was the sort of ability to make a tangible difference in your community. And I think when I left office, I was not one of the, I loved being in office. And I ran for mayor in 2005 and I lost very, very miserably. It was a bad result. There were a bunch of particular reasons for it that are extremely boring. But what was great about it was I lost so badly that nobody was like, come on back, you know? So I got to leave, and which I think is something that a lot of politicians struggle to do. And I wasn't trying to get back in. And I was thinking about, how do I do the things that I'm interested in, which are changing neighborhoods and changing communities for the better? And how do I bring value to the private sector in a way that is positive? Because why wouldn't, you know, what do I have to offer? And so I think affordable housing for me was a really logical place, because affordable housing is a business that requires government support and successful urban planning, which were two areas of expertise for me. And I was able to bring that to other people who were good at like building things and designing things. And so I could build expertise in that area while sharing my expertise from my own area. And so, yeah, it just felt like kind of natural as a way to transition into the private sector.
Okay.
And it worked out. I mean, we built about 2,000 units of affordable housing in the Bronx so far. It's about $1 billion.
How long did it take?
We started our business. So I didn't want to, I got offered a lot of jobs to be people's lobbyists, and I didn't want to be a lobbyist for somebody else. I wanted to have my own business. So that took longer because I had to start my own business with a partner.
Yeah.
So for a little while I did some consulting, not lobbying, consulting. That's why I ended up working for the Yankees. Basically because I was capable of making George Steinbrenner laugh. I don't know if you guys watch Seinfeld. Do you watch the show Seinfeld? So, you know, George's boss is George Steinbrenner. And that's actually pretty much that was what he liked. He's a tough guy. But for some reason he liked me, and I made him laugh. So the Yankees, they hired me like to try to keep the temperature down in the Yankees. But anyway, I did some consulting while I built up this business, and so we opened the business in late 2006. So it's been almost 20 years, and we built with partners about $1 billion worth of affordable housing, about 2,000 units. So that's about 6,000 or 7,000 people that are living in homes because of the work that I was able to do with a lot of colleagues, and it's great. Yeah, it's great. It feels good, and also it's not a bad business, and we still manage it. But actually, it's a changed business. So essentially, these days, it's very hard to make affordable housing work if you can't control the construction, because that's where the profit is, increasingly. And so my partner and I we really haven't started any new buildings in a while. And that's when I came here. I was sort of looking for something different to do. And now I ended up saying to myself, if I don't buy a football team soon, I'll never buy a football team. So I bought a football team.
But are you continuing the?
We still manage those units, yeah. and still looking at other kinds of real estate opportunities there. And here I do some real estate stuff here now. There's a lot of opportunity here in real estate, tremendous demand. So
That's why we all need affordable housing.
yeah. Well, the thing is that they, the U.S. has a very very comprehensive and thoughtful and ambitious program for creating affordable housing, but it requires money. Like the difference between affordable housing and unaffordable housing is money.
Yeah.
So very shortly, like basically what happens is you say, okay, we're going to build 150 units for people that make $20,000 a year, let's say. And the rule is they can pay 30% of their income for rent. So you're going to get 150 rents of $6,000 a year. And you say, well, how big a mortgage will that get me at a normal bank? Whatever it is. And then you say, how much will the building cost to build? And then the government gives you the difference, plus a little bit for your time and your risk. And so ultimately, what's making it possible is the government's commitment. And I think it is great, but you can understand why a lot of people don't. That's not me, is it now? It's complicated to do here because it's not just say like, well, let's get affordable housing. It's you got to pay for it, because otherwise, why would people agree to have their properties, build on it? I mean, you have to figure out how to make it work. You can try to make it more expensively or less expensively, and there's different pros and cons. But it's both complicated and ultimately requires significant assets and resources and commitment.
Yes, in fact, I was very curious about this balance between social impact and financial sustainability, because here it looks impossible, something that the Portuguese government is not managing that very well.
Yeah, it's challenging. I mean, so so the way that it works, so we continue to manage all of those units, and so basically what happens is that the government has to carefully size the subsidies that they give to you to build, so that you're going to make a bit of money but not too much money, right? Okay. And there's a whole bunch of assumptions for that. So, for example, our new mayor has announced that he's not going to allow any rent increases, and that, I guess, there are certainly buildings where, they maybe not need, but, our buildings were projected based on, X percent at rent increases, because he's not stopping, insurance from getting more expensive. He's not stopping electricity from getting, we have to pay for all those things. And the problem there is that if it gets too out of balance and the building, goes bankrupt, who's gonna, because the problem, this is a thing I think I spend a lot of time advocating for tenants, and I believe strongly that tenants need good rights, but what tenants need most are good landlords. Yes. Yeah. If you don't make it possible for people to be good landlords, it's very hard to find great buildings.
Actually, something that always amused me is that the concept of rent control, because here it doesn't exist, but always, all the time I'm seeing something, even sitcoms, Sex and the City, they're always saying like, oh, you're so lucky you live in this apartment, is rent control. And I was like, what is that? I've never heard about that.
Yeah, I mean, so rent control, at a certain point, sort of there was a law that just said, boom, all the units can't be more than this, of a certain kind, and
maybe it depends on the politicians on the moment.
A little bit, yeah. But it all depends a lot on like how long so if you can hold on to an apartment for 60 years, you might be in an apartment paying almost nothing, but it's a beautiful apartment that's like an 8-bedroom. Like there are these kind of anomalies, but for the most part, that's not really the real world. Most landlords that have buildings that have rent controlled pricing for the leases have bought them that way, knew they were getting it, and should be managing them well. It's complicated to figure out how to handle, like if the elevator breaks, what happens. So there are lots of different rules. And it's certainly, I don't know, I think it would be a hard thing for New York City to transition to like a free market, because there's so much extra demand. I mean, when we would do buildings with 225, 230, 250 units, we'd get 47,000 applicants, so it's a very complicated and difficult subject. that is like the it's a good example of a subject that does not do well in politics, because it doesn't boil down to sort of me good, you bad, or that kind of thing.
Sorry.
Now, because now you say about bad politician, because I have in my mind popular questions. All the people say, all the politicians are corrupted, and so in your experience, you touch something like bad business and good business. Yeah, you see in a moment, maybe this business I can't make this because it's not so clean.
Yeah, I had personally I never had a lot of personal experience with corruption.
Okay.
Nobody ever really came to me and was like, "Hey," and I think that's probably because I didn't send a message that I was sort of open for business. I did, in my time in government, the guy who was running against me for Speaker of the City Council, which is a very strange election because it's like running for the class president, because it's just the only people that are electing are the actual council members. So 50 people vote for it. But the guy who was running against me was at the same time extorting an ex-police officer and was jailed for bribery and extortion. And I mean, I found that I was flabbergasted when I learned it. But he seemed like a very nice. He was my opponent, but he was a nice guy. We were friendly. Also, for me, the stress of running for Speaker of the City Council, which is a big job. I mean, we had a $110 billion budget. I had police security around the clock. It was a big job.
Okay. Yeah.
The stress of running for that, the notion that this guy had the balls to be extorting somebody at the same time and could sleep. I mean, it was incredible to me. But he got busted, and I would say, there were 3 or 4 other people that I knew ultimately during my period. But mostly, I didn't really personally didn't come into any real contact with anybody that was.
He got busted while he was running.
Right after, they were hoping he would win desperately because then they could have busted the speaker. But basically, what happened was he was trying to get this guy to give him a building in exchange for upzoning some other buildings, and the zoning came immediately up 3 weeks into my period as the Speaker of the City Council, and I told he came to me and said, "You got to vote it down." And I said, no, we're going to vote it up because it's a good project. And he ultimately went to jail for trying to get this guy to, give him something for the positive vote. So it was a complicated situation. But anyway, my point is, I was shocked, and in general, I didn't really come up too much. And I don't think I think very few politicians are corrupt. I think there are a lot of ones who are maybe corrupt in the heart, in the sense that they don't care about things the way that they should, or they're more interested in staying in office than they are. And I would say there's a lot of elected officials that really, 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 it's super important to them to remain in office, and they'll do almost anything, to do that, to stay there. But which I think is ironic, because it's so hard to lose. Most elected officials don't lose. If you just answer your mail and, go to the subway every now and then, say hello to people, you should win. So you have this, I used to say to people, you can do whatever you want. But no, they were always kind of, what will be the best for me? And I think that's that's not corruption, but that's sort of to me, the challenge. And it gets harder and harder with social media and the level of kind of anger and hypocrisy and all the rest. It's not the same.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. With your background experience, what do you think that politics should make in a different way? They should create something and change maybe their approach here in Lisbon.
I don't know enough about the politics of Lisbon to tell you what people should do, but I do think that what's so important and the biggest challenge that we face, is ultimately that the way that the media has segmented, so that people have their views reinforced by stories that they choose particularly in order to reinforce their views. So, it's like my mother watches a lot of YouTube, and she's 87, and we always joke that one of these days we're gonna find out she's she'll be off to Iraq to join she'll be turned into an extremist because that's what happens on YouTube. But we joke, but if you have a way of consuming news where there's a algorithm that is determined to sort of only show you the things that are going to validate your views, it's really, really dangerous for democracy and for governments that are committed to trying to find common ground and democratic outcomes, because it's like you can take the current situation with Trump and Greenland. I assure you that 40% of America had no idea that he ever
where it is
threatened. Well, yeah, that 80% of America have no idea where it is. 80% of it, but there's a huge swath of his media that's essentially a state media, and there's nothing that's carried in that media that's remotely negative about him. So if it's carried in this way that's like, of course he did this, it's heroic, it's extraordinary. And so, literally we live in a country where people live in completely different worlds. And, going back 30, 40, 50 years, it's like CBS News was CBS News. If CBS News said it, everybody was like, okay, well, CBS News said it. Or if the New York Times said it, it was like, okay, well, we all have to live with, that because the New York Times said it's true. And that is just so far from now. Now we live in a world where people choose their truth. And it's very hard to understand how you function in a democracy, and how the media. I mean, I'm friends with Francisco Balsamão, the guy's the publisher of Espresso and Seek and others. And it's such a challenge. How do you cover people that make things up? Yeah. And we look at it in the United States with Trump. It's a daunting thing, and the truth is that AI is just already, going to cause people to stop having a sort of fundamental truth, and it's worrisome. It's worrisome.
I completely agree.
I don't have a solution. I wish I had a solution. Move to Portugal. It's better here than in New York.
Publicity now.
Yeah.
commercial
we
time.
Have, maybe
Music break.
Music break.
So explain why we are launching this song.
As Mick Mengucci, our friend, he left, maybe stay in a good word now, and Il Cammello Urbano is a big song because camel in English, no?
Yes.
Urban camel is a kind of a person, is similar. Okay.
Il cammello urbano va di qua e di là, ciondolando, illuminando dentro sé, trotta al marciapiede, chissà poi dove andrà in questa città, chissà che gliene fregherà. Il cammello urbano si sa è bestia a metà, evita il trambusto dondolando con gusto fra motorini e caffè, chissà poi dove andrà in questa città, chissà che gliene fregherà. Occhi abituati al deletto vedono solo vetrine, percepiscono di certo al di là del neon la solitudine. Orecchie abituate agli auricolari del suo Walkman collegato diretto direttamente al cuore di nomade. Il cammello urbano si sa è uomo a metà, sbava vistosamente appena vista una tipa e con ingenuità sorridendo fingerà di saper baciare da mar come nelle telenovela. Il cammello urbano non ha né money né cash. Il concetto di grano che lui ha è molto più naturale. Il grano, ma è uno schiavo, lui sarà molto meglio la libertà che la pubblicità. Solo ogni tanto lui si guarda la televisione da dove c'è tutto colore, rumore, in realtà virtuale, ma non l'ingrediente naturale, la silenziosità. Il cammello urbano si sa, lui crede in Allah, c'è un santo, una divinità che lo protegge, lui lo sa, ma lui rispetta pure chi un Dio non ce l'ha, però dà, lui dà la sua bontà. Il cammello urbano le fa di qua e di là, ciondolando e zappando senza pietà, ma con sincerità. Certo un po' di puzza fa, ma cosa volete che sia rispetto alla puzza di tutti gli stronzi di sta città, di questa civiltà.
Okay, it's my turn. Okay, thanks Mick Mengucci and Gifford. I read you basically create a team of 100 investors to buy the Atlético
Yeah.
Portugal.
Yeah.
How it works? I mean, you.
Well, you know, so basically, when I was here, what happened is that my wife and I, we bought an apartment near the Praça da Armada, if you know the area. There's a very good Italian restaurant there, Gifford. If you've ever been, amazing Italian restaurant. A little expensive, but fantastic, incredible. It's on the Praça da Armada. And Valentina is the name. Valentina's the sort of Valentina. She's amazing. She makes all the pasta there. Okay. So good. But anyway, we like to walk when we get somewhere, and so we would walk around, and you can walk down by the water there because it's in Strela/Alcantara, or you can walk up into Monsanto. And if you walk up into Monsanto, you walk by the Tapadinha, which is the stadium where Atlético play. And so when I started to look for a football team, the team that I was like, well, what team do I want to buy? I want to buy my local team, you know. I want to be, and it just so happened that at that moment, Atlético was going from being in the 4th division to the 3rd division. And when you go in Portugal from the 4th division to the 3rd division, third division is really a fully professional division. So I would say that we've probably more than doubled, more than 10 times the budget of the club from when it was in the 4th division. So when we bought it and now in the 3rd division, because that's what's required. And as you maybe know, not so much, I don't know what it's like in Italy, but in Spain and Portugal and in Germany, all of the football teams are owned by the local club, which is where your young people get their athletics. But at some point, it's a nonprofit. They can't support a fully professional team, and so they bring in an investor to purchase the men's football team, and that's what we did. We joined with the club. We worked with the club for a while, and then ultimately we bought the men's football team. And the way I thought of it, and we think of it, is that we wanted to raise the money that was necessary to have a runway to operate the club and be competitive to try to go to the next division. We're in Liga 3. We want to go to Liga 2. And also to have the time to develop enough financial revenue streams so that we could ultimately, after a period of time, be self-supporting. So the club is located at the Tapadinha. For people who live in Lisbon, I think most people who live in Lisbon know it, but it's the stadium that you see when you come across the Pont de Abril. There's the big Superbox sign. Okay. That's our stadium. Okay. And it's the best located stadium probably in Portugal. Okay. And our idea for the club, outside of being excellent in football and trying to get promoted, is to make the club everybody's favorite Lisbon club. We understand that most Lisboans are either Benfica or Sporting fans. Some maybe there are a few Porto fans. We're not going to convince people to abandon Benfica in order to support Atlético, but we can be everybody's sort of favorite local Lisbon club. And we want to do that by making the experience unique. We want to do that by bringing all of the things that make Lisbon great. So football, but also food and art and culture. We try to bring all that together at the Tapadinha. So we built a space that has food trucks and a big screen TV and tent and tables and a bar, and it's a place there where people can come throughout the week. Okay. We're working on a project which is not official yet, but the idea is to bring art everywhere in the stadium and then run tours of a working football stadium that's also a cultural institution and a place where you can see all kinds of different art. And have art be infused in the lives of footballers. So when you go down through the tunnel to come up on the pitch, there'd be a big tile installation there, or the like. There's more to come on that, but it's going to be incredibly exciting, I think. And we are, making it into a place where people want to be. And bringing together expats with our local community in Alcântara, which has been loyal to the club, but has experienced Alcântara has had a lot of challenges and is on the rise again. But amazing group of people, and our club has an amazing history. In way back in the day, we were one of the biggest clubs in the country. In fact, we were the foundation of two older clubs that joined in 1942. And one of those clubs, Cacavelinhos, won the national championship in 1927. So we're about to celebrate the 100th birthday. But basically, what happened was through the 50s and the early 60s, it was one of the biggest clubs in the country. Okay. And then when they built the Pont de Abril and ran it through Alcântara, it destroyed the neighborhood. Because of the noise and the construction, everybody left. So when the bridge started, we had 15,000 paying socios. When the bridge ended, we had 2,000 paying socios, and it kept going down. Wow. And so through the 70s and the 80s and the 90s and the aughts, as they say, the club, fought to get, but went up and down a bit, but had a lot of challenges. And our hope is to restore Atlético to its place at the center of Portuguese football culture. Okay.
So is second division or third?
It's third division right now.
How is it doing in this year?
This year, it's been a tough year for our results. We played a lot of good football, but haven't always gotten the result we need. Right now, we're in fifth.
Fifth.
And the way that the Portuguese third league works is there are 20 teams in Liga Tres, and they are divided into a north and a south division. So the north division has 10 teams, the south division has 10 teams. You play the teams in your division, home and away, so 18 games. And at the end of that first phase, the top 4 teams from each division go into a new national division to compete for promotion. And the bottom 6 teams from each division stay in their division and compete to not get relegated. So you want to be in the top 4, and right now we're 5th. And we have one more game left. We're live, so it's on Saturday at the Tapadinha this Saturday at 3 p.m. against Mafra. Mafra is owned by Bournemouth. It's a huge, big team. They probably spend about 3 times what we spend on ours. And it's a huge game. If we win, we still need a little bit of help, but it's realistic because we are literally tied on points with the 4th place team. And so it's a huge game, and it'll be. I think everyone should come down and have a beer and see some highly competitive football. Because I will say, Liga Tres football is good football. I don't know if you've ever seen any of it, but these are amazing players that devote their entire lives to the sport and play at a very high level.
Actually, we have to say Portuguese football is very good, very good compared, for example, to Italy.
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, come on, Italian football.
In recent years.
Last year, 3 years ago, 4 years.
Last year,
Forget.
As
10
a
years
team,
ago,
as
it
a
was
national
good.
team,
As a
they're
national
not
team.
so good like
Exactly.
Well, I think that the Italian national team has suffered, but I think the overall quality of Italian players in the Italian leagues is very high. Serie A is very high. But I think Portuguese football is very much on the rise. There's a number of reasons. One of the big ones is that it's the place in Europe, the only place in Europe where you can bring players in from outside of Europe for no real cost. So what that means is that a lot of the multi-club platforms are trying to own Portuguese football. So Mafra is a good example. They want to own Portuguese football teams so that they can bring people in from Africa or from Asia or from wherever, and so it's increasingly professionalized. For example, Liga Tres, I think 4 years ago, had 94 teams, which is crazy. So
divided
By north, south.
I don't even know. Yes, I think they were divided by
Central
region, and there was sort of now. I mean, so for now, the 4th division has 56 teams, 54 teams, so 16 teams.
in
Or,
Italy.
yeah,
Portugal is 10,
64 teams maybe. I think I can't remember.
1/5 of it.
Anyway, they've done a good job of professionalism. I think the federation deserves credit. They do a great job of promoting Liga Tres. You can watch Liga Tres games anywhere in the world. All of ours, which is great for us, because you asked about the investors. So we tried to raise the money to be able to have this sort of runway to operate the team. And when you come to the Tapadinha, you'll see it's an incredible, romantic, crumbling stadium. And so it needs help. And our job is to fix it back up, but preserve the really special feel. It's like there's some very nice stadiums here, but to me, if you want to feel Portuguese football, you go to the Tapadinha. And so when we fix it up, which is our job, what we did was I went out and I explained my vision for what I wanted to do. And I got people to buy in shares of 250,000 euros rather than have like one big person. And then many people with those shares, broke them up into 7 or 8. So we have a lot of people who are investors who have invested 50,000 euros or 40,000 euros or like that, and it's great because everybody is invested. They enjoy it. I don't want nobody should invest in football at a level that makes them nervous financially because unless you're a billionaire, it should not be your retirement plan. It should be something you do as a passion.
Fun, yeah.
And that's what happens. So we have 2 weekends a year where we invite everybody, although for anytime, of course the investors are welcome to come up, but we get sort of 40 or 50 investors. They come in, They meet with the coach. We have dinner together. It's a really nice group of people. Everybody's very passionate about it, and it's a lot of fun. And so we have a huge number of people who never imagined they would own a football team, and so that's an exciting way to do it. And ultimately for me, it allows me to have pretty good control because there's nobody. I don't have to go to one guy or one woman and be like, please, write another check for $1 million.
How many foreign investors like you are in?
We have no Portuguese investors.
No one.
No one.
No.
All American.
No, there are some other nationalities, but there's a couple of people that live in Portugal, but they're not Portuguese.
So even is third division is so expensive to buy a football, or it's a kind of.
It depends on your view of expensive.
Okay.
It's cheap. It's cheap by buying football teams. It's getting more expensive, but I think. In our case, a big expense is upgrading the stadium. But obviously, our belief is that we're going to be the coolest, team to own in the world, and the coolest team to follow, in the coolest city around. And so we think it's going to be worth it. It's going to have good value. But we also are very hopeful we're going to be able to make it a better team. For our fans, for our community, and make Alcántara proud. It's a really multi-level.
Alcántara proud is a new
Again.
Again, yeah.
Again.
Yeah.
But sorry, I saw you in the field, with the player and the photo. But are you a kind of motivational president?
Like Berlusconi.
I'm not like Berlusconi, and I don't have any of his houses.
Not affordable.
No, not for me. I mean, I'm very engaged and involved with the players, but I try to recognize that I am not a football professional. So I think my engagement with the club and with the team is more off the pitch than on the pitch. Okay. I mean, I certainly try to motivate the players, but that's really the coach's job, and the captain's job. I think, that motivation having good club spirit is extremely important. But these are professionals that want to play well. It's just not the case that they don't. This is their whole lives. They think about nothing else. And if they don't play well, if they don't play, it's miserable for them. And they have a it's a blink of a career. It's like, to me, I worry about these. What are these kids going to do when they turn 31? And so I think. For me, it's more about putting into place the conditions for them to be able to be at their best. So we have a nutritionist, we have a psychologist, we use data. Our medical program is run by Antonio Gasparo, who runs the Portuguese national medical program. I think we sort of punch above our weight as a third division team because we've been fortunate to put together. This is another thing I think is super important, is that anybody from outside of a country that thinks that they're going to run the football team the way they think is out of their minds. You have to recognize, number one, you might own it, but you're really just a caretaker. You're not actually. It's not yours. Yeah, this club. In no sense of the word is this club mine. Yeah. This club, it belongs to Alcántara. It belongs to Lisbon. It belongs to the 89-year-olds who attend the game, each week. It belongs to those people, and my job is just to make it as good as I can for them, if possible. And that's true for the players too. And I think they can lose that a little bit. So reminding them sometimes is important. But they want to win. They want to win. I just wish they would win a little more.
Remember, next Saturday.
This coming Saturday. Yes.
Judgment Day.
It's Judgment Day. It's the 24th, right?
Turn off Serie A.
24th. Turn off Serie A.
Premier League.
Tapadinha. We have barbecue. We have the best barbecue.
Churrasco.
We have barbecue. We have pizza, New York pizza.
Epa.
New York.
Yeah,
New
the
York
guy from
pizza.
Brooklyn named Rico, who
Is
makes
it
amazing
better as
pizza.
well, or just
No,
it's like
no, I
all-
wish. It's a little too expensive. We have to work on him. And we have actually sushi, which is actually pretty good. And bar, the whole thing.
Wow, we have to go.
Yeah, it's all and it's called Curva. You can look it up on Instagram. It's Curva PT, I think. It's at 3 p.m. The Estadio da Tapadinha.
We need to put a big.
I expect to see all 4 of you guys there,
A big head.
and all of y'all,
green Radio Pistacchio on
as
the
we
curva.
say in New York.
Radio Pistacchio is here.
Yeah. So it's gonna be an amazing game, and I think it'll be an experience that people will recognize as sort of the way you watch football. You know what's so cool is that after the game, generally win or lose, although this is gonna be a tough one if we lose, the players come out to the bar afterwards and have drinks with you. And that doesn't happen at Benfica,
Yeah. Just in rugby, maybe.
but to Atlético, and Lisboa.
Atletico.
Go, and so thank you.
It was a great pleasure to have you with us.
Oh, it's a lot of fun. Thank you so much.
Carrega Atletico.
Now I'll go catch the second half of Liverpool. Turn my phone on and find out what happened.
You can do it. Okay.
All right, thank you guys.
Thanks.
Grazie.
20 seconds.
Every time is like the first time.
Yeah, very nervous. Very nervous.
No.
I'm a kid.
5 seconds.
5 seconds. Like the NASA. 5 seconds. To the lunch.
The toast before the live.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a football.
Yeah.
Vai, try to talk again.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Ah, guarda, no.
Rivado. Sono emozionato, sono in
4, 5.
Ale.
Ale, Sandro, un po' medio.
When my kids were little, I would read them. I read to them one of my favorite books. I don't know if you ever heard of it. It's called The Miracle of Castel di Sangro.
No.
Sangro. I say Sangro because it's
Ah, Castello di
Miracle of Castel di Sangro.
Ah,
Have you ever heard of it?
Ah.
It's a book by a guy named Mike McGuinness, and he falls in love with football in 1994 when the World Cup comes to the U.S. And then he reads about the miracle of Castel di Sangro when Castel di Sangro from the Abruzzi
Yes.
Yes.
makes it to Serie B in a miracle.
Yeah, yes.
And then he goes and he spends a year in Castel di Sangro, seeing whether or not they managed to not get relegated. Very funny. But my kids loved it. I always loved the book. But my kid's favorite part was saying all the names of the Italians. Genoa, Firenze.
How is?
So whenever I hear Italian,
Okay, yeah.
Non così vicino.
Okay.
no?
More for you.
Oh,
Però sì,
okay.
se ci stai così va bene.
Okay.
Okay, music break.
Music break, no.
Music break, yes.
Yeah.
We have 4 minutes of music break.
Great.
For me.
So you guys should know, you know how much I'm committed to Atletico and to Lisbon.
Now
we
we
haven't
talk
changed
about
because
Atletico.
Liverpool's playing right now.
Ah, right now.
And I didn't even
You
know.
sacrifice me
I did.
for us.
My son is at a bar somewhere, so maybe I'll get to the final couple minutes.
Yeah.
But I sacrificed Liverpool.
Wow. Thank you.
Well, we appreciate
I,
that.
I wouldn't have 2 or 3 years ago. Wouldn't have. But now it's like it is. I tell you, being an owner changes how you feel about sports. It's very. It's very intense.
Intense. Yeah, understood. He sacrificed the Milan for no.
Okay, so
We have,
you will love it. You know, we have a hospitality space called Curva, And, seriously,
Italian.
we do. We chose it because it's like the Italian space with like the cop, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And we have great food. We're the only football team in Portugal where you can drink a beer and watch the game at the same
Oh,
time.
So I want to watch the game.
We have
yes.
wine too.
Because can you believe, like me, honestly,
Where
the
I
first
have to
time I've been to
sign.
see a match, soccer football
Yeah,
match,
but we can say football.
was here in Portugal a couple
Really?
of years ago. In United States,
Yeah.
I seen NBA.
Yeah.
I managed to watch American football as well.
Very
In
boring.
Australia, I've seen the match of Australian football,
Nice.
and I loved it
Okay.
because everyone was sitting, even from different, they were sitting all together,
Yeah.
close, they were drinking. And here I was expecting the same because I never had the experience to watch a soccer game here. And I've been to the stadium here and they were
Very
like, oh, you cannot
separate.
drink that. You
No.
can I was like, what?
You have to come to Atlético.
We have
Yes.
a microphone off because maybe we can become the radio of
You can.
interviewing the football players.
Yeah.
Iscriviti al canale. Iscriviti al canale. Ora.